let's talk about that. You said they're facing a big trust deficit, and you and a bunch of tech reporters here at Forbes have broken story after story about TikTok. Can you give us a highlight reel?
Yeah, so I wrote my first stories about TikTok before I even arrived at Forbes. I broke a big story about TikTok at BuzzFeed News just before I moved over to Forbes that was based on over 80 hours of internal audio from TikTok meetings. And basically what that audio showed was that although TikTok claimed all US user data is stored in the US, though that was technically true, there was a lot of access by China-based employees to that US user data. And that access continued into 2022 and has not been sort of fully severed, to my knowledge. That story prompted a lot of lawmakers in Washington to become really worried about data access questions at TikTok. And so it also inspired me and other reporters here at Forbes to start looking deeper into the company's connections to the Chinese government and what else they were up to. And so I published a story in August showing that there was a lot of crossover between employees at TikTok and ByteDance and people who had worked for Chinese state media. This is particularly important because a lot of concern about TikTok is about the idea that the company could use the algorithm to promote certain narratives or demote other narratives in a way that's favorable to the Chinese government. And I wrote a story with my colleague Ian Martin earlier this month, about how the Chinese Communist Party has in fact used TikTok to try to sway the views of Americans, including about politics. And TikTok is the only company of the big tech companies, unlike YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that doesn't label Chinese state media. And so what Ian and I found was that there were these accounts putting out sort of specific information about legislators, specific information about people who are up for election. And viewers of those TikToks did not know that they were coming from Chinese state media. And TikTok, unlike its competitors, was not labeling them. And so there are really two big buckets of concern about TikTok. One has to do with the idea that the Chinese government could manipulate the algorithm or could persuade ByteDance to manipulate the algorithm to sort of serve their interests. The other is this data espionage concern. And what today's story shows and what our October story first reporting this shows is that it was possible for ByteDance to use user data to surveil individual US citizens, including me. And if they can do that to me, I understand why activists, why politicians, why other people who might be of specific interest to TikTok or ByteDance or the Chinese government would be extra concerned about whether they could be surveilled too.